Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Just headed back to Niagara Falls from Toronto. We're moving for construction. Scratch and PPA, good to see you in the house. Thank you for coming in. It was raining all night where I was. I don't know which direction it's going. I looked at the weather towards Niagara and it seems to be okay. I got something in the back of the truck that can't get wet. I do have a tonneau cover, but they're not waterproof. They're like water resistant. So if I get any kind of heavy rain, I'm gonna have to pull over and move something. But we'll see. Are we buffering again? Looked to me like on one of my things we're buffering. I've seen so many people do driving streams, right? Lots of truck driver friends, and their streams are always fine. Thank you, Pete. Yeah, that buffering, people aren't going to put up with that. Trying to figure out why it just won't like move at all, right? So many streams in a row, and I bet that's part of it. Besides, in the background, this is just grasping at straws, but YouTube can tell, right? If streams are having trouble or if streams are clear and stuff. So we'll see if it's going to keep buffering and not do anything. We'll stop for today and revisit that another time. When the snow falls, I'll go and do a walking stream at some point. Part of me, if there's no chance before then to do something of substance. I don't really have a free minute today, so and I'll get there. I might meet up with Jason on Tuesday. Supposed to be around his area. That'll be good. So see, I can't judge my time with this gig working. Sometimes I go into a job. I usually do multiple things a day. But sometimes I do a job that's 45 minutes, and then sometimes I go 2.5 hours. There's no way to know. I'm trying to pack in a full day of like a lot of stuff, so that I can finish around the same time. Hopefully he does, but we'll see. Not the smoothest either, eh? Maybe GoPro's better for this. I'm hoping, Pete, but we'll have to see. I got to see how we both feel about that after a day of work. It would be a cool idea, like even if it's just for a couple minutes or something, half an hour, just so we can have a conversation. I think it's always nice to see friends getting together when they usually wouldn't be, right? So I imagine other people would find that, just our friends, not the kind of stream that, is going to get pushed out and, all that stuff. We all know that. But sometimes friends, I imagine a lot of people feel the same way, would like to see a couple people together, get a couple of opinions. It's always different. I still believe in time in a room with somebody, like I don't know if I believe all the universe and our minds connected and all that, get pretty far down that rabbit hole. But I do think there's a big difference between, StreamYard panels, which are great too, or actually sitting there with somebody. I should try to test one if I can find a moment tomorrow. And so I don't know if people are trying this or not, but with StreamYard, they don't, as far as I know, have an app yet. They have just the web version, but you can invite people with an app. So it's like the StreamYard guest app. So what you could do is start a stream on one device, but invite yourself with the app on another device, and then so like I could start one on one phone or a computer and have Jason and myself on a phone invited to use the app so that the audio and everything would be good, and just put the two on the screen. I wonder. I just imagine, but I haven't tried it yet. If that's the case, in my opinion, that'd be a great way to stream. StreamYard did really well when we were at the Freedom Convoy, especially for the disconnect protection, right? It was actually really great for that. We'd be off for minutes at a time, and it would still hook back up. That's a few years ago, but I'm always interested to see how all the different things work. And then they got their vertical and horizontal thing at the same time too, so we'll see. I'll have stuff with me, and then I'll message him and see how he thinks, what he thinks about it. I really dislike missing opportunities to meet up with people. We always think tomorrow's going to come, and tomorrow doesn't always come, you know. Either that or it gets pushed years into the future. Most of my stories now are 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and 30 years ago. Oh, there's a little bit of light rain, but that's nothing to worry about. Drive two different vehicles now, so I've got to remember where the signal is and where the wipers are. They're both Fords, but they're on opposite sides of the steering wheel. See if I can get that window cleaned up a little bit. And I think GoPro's the way for these drive streams because it's, I mean, maybe the newer iPhones, I'm on an 11, maybe the newer iPhones are a little bit smoother with shakiness, but I'm not using, obviously, a gimbal or anything like that right now. We got these really cool stands. They're nothing special. It's just I hadn't had one before, and they stick to the window or the dashboard like you would expect. But you can basically move them in any direction. They have that round magnet on the back that everybody seems to have. And I am loving those stands now. I wish I realized that they were going to be charging one, so I would have done that a while ago. But these things allow you to put the phone way up at the top of the window instead of on the dashboard, and that's what I've been doing. But it doesn't seem to be as smooth as a GoPro would be. And last time I tried GoPro 12, it wasn't able to stream in vertical. So I got to do some fancy hookups for that. looking like it might turn out to be a really nice day. You can see the sun wants to beat these clouds. This is the first time I've taken my truck, I think, for such a long drive in 6 months, too. I take this thing out once a week just to keep it from rotting. I'm driving a company car all the time. At 375,000 kilometers on this truck, and it still drives. Not quite like day one, but pretty close to it. Spent 13 years driving this thing like a car, or 12, getting on 13. I let it rust a bit, but still in great shape. Costed a fortune in repairs over the years. That's always unexpected and not so pleasant surprise, but I knew what I was getting into when I bought it. Gonna go by the airport so you can start to see the planes flying overhead there, maybe. This guy loves his Toronto Maple Leaf Edition F-150. Those were limited, but a cool idea. There's his guy coming in for landing. Turns out we're not going to go by the airport. You can see where it is. But a plane in the distance, but we're going to take a different highway just because GPS is telling me it's the fastest way. every time we take the 427, we get a chance to see the Thrive Together Showcase Studios, the office I was renting last year. Right here on the left, where the tall building, those two with the red roofs. Up on the 10th floor. What a glorious escapade that was for a year. I've done that before. I've had a few offices actually over the years. There was a mistake when I did that. I should have got a retail place so that I could have done other things there. But I needed to be as cheap as possible. And it was really for another reason. My parents needed more help than they had before, so I was able to be closer. But they don't need that help anymore, so I was able to let that office go. It's funny how you think about those co-working spaces too, the way they advertise them. Like, oh, it's a big community and you get to network with people and everybody does business with each other is kind of the idea. They don't say it, but they allude to it. If you ever see an advertisement for a co-working office, and you might now because I keep mentioning it, right? But the pictures are all like when one of those condos come out and all the residents are like getting along and everybody's like so social. Like, no, everybody goes in their office and keeps the door shut and is quiet. And people barely say hello in the hallways. And the once or twice per day that they happen to walk out. But if you like being alone, being able to concentrate and not being bothered, it's a great place. this is where we get close to exiting Toronto. Toronto's got boroughs the same way that New York has always had. So we're leaving Etobicoke now, where I grew up. I grew up in the North End, in Rexdale. And all the cities now will start blending into each other. They used to have a Drexy's, one of those delis, a very popular deli around here where they make like real sandwiches in front of you. And they had it in that building. We're just passing there. And such a heartbreaking day. I don't think it's there anymore. Last time I went looking for it, I could never get in there when anything was open. And then I don't think it's there. I don't know. Whereas Platter, good to see you in the house. Said hi. It's my favorite thing from 2025. I try to make Pete laugh by saying that in chats all the time now. I don't even know where that came from. Just added. It went from zero to like everybody uses that. Especially when we're doing things like this, like vertical streams and stuff. When people come in, said hi. Okay. Could be a meme I'm not on top of or a trend. Temperature here is 9, so that is 50. When you're driving, though, it always feels warmer. The sun coming through the window. 68 cold. That 68 is like my dream weather. That's funny. Yeah, I always prefer the cold to the heat because once you get like too hot, there's no escape. We have really humid summers, so it's the humidity that drives everybody bananas more so than the heat itself. I haven't been in a climate ever where like the heat is dry that I can think of. I spent one summer in Bermuda, sort of. I was on a cruise ship. We went back and forth from New York to Bermuda. That was in 1996, but I don't remember whether it was a dry heat. I don't remember sweating all summer, but there's so much time. Like if you're working on a cruise ship, of course it's exciting in the beginning. It becomes like a job like everything else. Still great, like a wonderful place to be, but there's only so much you could do. There's only so many times you could do the same thing, and they always have like a hospital there. There, they got like even on the smallest ones. So I would go to the gym. I got like in quite decent shape by the end of the summer. So by not being overweight and having a little bit of fitness, let's just say it stops all the sweating and stuff that might have happened from humidity, let's say. Yeah, I haven't ever been over there. I've been to every state in the Northeast, but not anywhere else that I can think of. And I was in Florida, but I was too young to remember. With the cold, you can just keep piling on blankets and layers and solve the problem. But with the heat, sometimes there's no escape. People used to ask when I was doing more construction work, like asphalt and stuff like that. Oh, how do you do that in the summer? Like, look, once it becomes 80 degrees, it might as well be 120. It doesn't make a difference for me after that. But this year, the summer seemed to drag right into October. I was whining a couple of years ago because it got halfway through September. My favorite day is September 15th. I'm like, oh, today's the day the weather breaks, and it didn't happen. I could see how that would be, Glorious Platter. I don't know if I've ever heard that before. Colds can make you hungry. Yeah, very possible. I eat all the time. That's why I struggle with weight all the time. Always snacking, always like drinking things I shouldn't drink, and that's another one of those things where I feel like there's always tomorrow. Yeah, eventually we all got to watch that stuff. I had this thing last year, plantar fasciitis, and that's a that comes under the heel of your foot. A friend of mine had it that was working kind of with us or whatever. It's the only reason I had a clue of what it was when it showed up. And I'll tell you what fixed that in 2 seconds was getting those Skechers. So they were pretty expensive, in my opinion, at the time. They were like $240. I didn't get them on sale or anything like that because I want them like I need them now, like today. So I went to go get them, and I just got the most cushiony ones that they have. And I don't even remember it going away because it went away so fast. No exercises, no rolling tennis ball under your foot or any of that stuff. There's lots of things you can do. Didn't need to do any of it. The tiniest bit of stretching before I got those shoes, and like I said, I don't even remember now. So I don't want to jinx that and have that come back. And I don't know if anything causes that or it just shows up. But I've lost a few pounds finally since the spring. I'm still not doing great for that, but I had been off work for like 5 months, and you can tell. 24,000 steps to pay off that dinner. Yeah, yeah. I wish I would do more, but I also the job that I have now has me walking. Um, Half the day is driving, but I do a lot of walking around. I don't do 10,000 steps a day or anything like that, but probably five. So the littlest bit of add-on starts to help. But I'll tell you this, I feel so much better today than I did 6 months ago, and it's just from that activity. You know, barely. I should stretch, I don't, but barely any of that. I'm turning 53, so you get an idea of where I'm at. Oh, Cybertruck. And he's got that rigged out for work. That's interesting. Looks like it anyway. Oh, a Brazilian steakhouse. We got a couple of those in Niagara Falls. I don't know if Pete's ever been to any of those. Copacabana is one that we have, and another one called Brasa, I think, if I am remembering right. And these places, yeah, it's just all meat constantly, and then grilled pineapple with cinnamon, I think. Yeah, we're seeing more and more. I don't know how I've seen like so many Cybertrucks. I mean, Toronto, of course, have them, right? It's a world class city, but I still, when I see one, I'm like, oh, Cybertruck. I don't know how long that will go on for. Yeah, I don't. I haven't seen much news when it comes to all that stuff. Every single thing I ever see or hear now, I say, is that real? That started a couple of years ago, but now it's like extreme, right? Because you really don't know. Numbers never lie, so that'll tell you. But I'm sure they're going to do fine. The board of directors apparently just approved a $1 trillion compensation plan for that guy. So, you know, the investors, they're the ones that have their money in there. I don't know if I would have got a Tesla when the time had come. Like, Kristen and I live in an apartment, so we don't have a place to charge one, like an electric vehicle of any kind. So I couldn't consider it anyway. I have no idea, but when people have asked, especially if I'm talking to family and stuff like that, I'd be like, oh, of course I would have been the kind of guy to get a Tesla. I'm like all Apple. You know what I mean? I love that stuff, like marketing and things. And I don't, or like, you know what it was? It was when we were talking about if Tesla came out with a phone. I'd be like, yeah, I'd probably get the phone. Much as I'm always on Apple and everything like that, I just did that. There's another phone that I have, like a secondary phone for the Solana network from the Solana team, right? And it's not that it's a crypto phone; it's just an Android phone. But they've built in crypto features like hardware wallet that requires a fingerprint and all this. And I just like that stuff. One of my favorite marketing ploys ever was Snapple. They were like, "We just want to be number three," because they know you're never beating Coke and Pepsi, even though, like, I don't even remember who owns them or whatever. But it was a cool idea because it's like, yeah, you don't aim to be number one if you know you can't, but there's nothing wrong with being second or third. You're still going to do really well. I was drinking a lot of Snapple back then. I used to love that stuff, those iced teas. I haven't had one in a very long time. You don't want to drive a Tesla? You want to take it for a spin? Oh yeah. Oh, that's not good. It's probably fine. There's a lot of people out there who know how to do work that don't have certifications or like degrees or that kind of stuff. My bet is you'd be okay if you can get a licensed electrician to just have a look and tell you if anything's wrong. Lots of people, especially in their own house, do their own plumbing and electrical work and things like that. I've learned a lot more about water. I couldn't do plumbing or anything like that, but I've learned a lot more about that stuff with the job that I have. But there's lots of things people can do for themselves, or if you got a friend that can just overlook everything and just say you don't have to worry about it, like the house is not going to burn down and all that. Most of the stuff's pretty easy anyway, I imagine. It's all like meant to fit together. See how many people are doing off-grid solar and generators and things like that, and it seems to me to be a lot of do-it-yourselfers. I don't see a lot of people saying, well, we're hiring an electrician to do something. Look at this idiot. Wow. I don't really like to talk like that, but that was ridiculous. It's not even a lane, and you're taking a real chance. You're still at it, of course, but that people aren't going to move, or people are playing on their phone and weaving in and out of traffic or sliding back and forth in the lanes. You still see that every day. I'm surprised it didn't calm down. I saw a horrible accident the other day, a couple of pickup trucks. And you don't wish it on anybody, of course, but you look at it and you say, like, well, how did that happen? Because you were driving in a straight line, right? But it seems to me the majority of people are on their phones now, in hand. And I used to think that it was something else, but now I've realized they're watching Instagram Reels and TikTok videos or YouTube. I don't know what, if you're going to do that, I wouldn't recommend it ever to anybody, right? But if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you just put it on a stand? You can listen, you don't have to watch, but I guess that takes out all the fun. I don't know. But it's all over the place. It's literally the majority. That's my rant for right now. Oh, 220. Oh, no. $5,000 is no joke, eh? I don't care how much money somebody has. $5,000 is not pleasant, especially when you've already spent money. People run red lights frequently. I accidentally did once. It's the funniest thing, eh? Right? Because most people, even though we don't say it, of course I think I'm right all the time. And so Kristen calls me one day and she goes, "You got something from the ministry?" And I go, "Oh, can you open it?" Because actually, it was right around the time people were getting these rebate checks for license plates, because we don't pay for our license plates here now. That was something they took away a couple of years ago, so everybody saves $100 or $200 a year or whatever it was, right? So I thought that that's what it was. So don't worry about it. Do you want me to open it? Yeah, maybe you better, right? So she opens it and she goes, "Oh, you got a red light ticket." I go, "There's no way. That's impossible. I haven't been anywhere to run through a red light." She goes, "Well, I'm looking right at it, and it really is." I know, if there's some kind of mistake, that's impossible. There's no way. She's like, "Well, I'm looking at the pictures. It's your truck. You're clearly in the wrong lane and have gone right through it." I'm like, "Okay, what intersection?" And she's like, "Oh, at this place." I go, "Nope, I always turn right there. It's impossible. I don't know what you're looking at, but there's no way." And then I get there, I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." I actually did, but I was insistent that I was right. Nope, there's no way. No way I ever go through that intersection. I always turn right. And sure enough, nope, you're wrong. So that's awful. Yeah, it'd be nice if we never had to be involved in any of that stuff. Yeah, I can't remember what we used to pay for license plates. You still have to register. You have to just go on, and it's free, but it's like they make you check out anyway or something. I gotta look at that. Might be time for me. My birthday's next month. not forget that stuff. Here we're getting close to what they call the Niagara Escarpment, and if I understand right, this is just from like millions of years. The water and the way that the plates under the earth move and everything has shifted, so it looks like a mountain, but it's not, right? And this goes basically like, I don't even know how far it goes, but like all the way down to Niagara. But this is where you get to see the fall colors a little bit more, because most of the trees have lost their leaves already, but you see a little bit of it there. Mostly red. For a while they were yellow, orange, and red. Yeah, glorious platter. Seems a lot of people are in a rush. The other thing too is, as these cities get bigger, Toronto's a perfect example. But the cities get bigger, and they're designed for a certain amount of population. But once they start throwing up skyscrapers and more condos and everything else, you get like an intersection with, I don't know, maybe four plazas or something, and all in behind them, they'll start putting in 8, 12, 16 condo or apartment buildings. You're like, wait a second, how many more thousand people are going to be using the same intersection now? We see that especially in downtown Toronto, because the city can't expand into the water, obviously, so it just goes straight up. And now you've got like hundreds of thousands of people using the same 10 exits that have been there my whole life. So I think that results in a lot of people being in a rush. And then again, people are on their phone. It doesn't matter whether they're in an intersection or not, waiting for the red light. People love honking around here. So if you're more than 1 second before hitting the gas, they're on you. Oh, that's interesting. They charge by year. Yeah, ours, I'm quite certain, doesn't do that. Commercial vehicles pay differently, but I think everybody just pays the same for their yearly plate here. For general cars and stuff, trucks and things might be a little bit different. Glorious platter, yeah. I was gonna buy a new car during COVID, and I gave the dealership a deposit, and 6 months later they texted me and said, "Come back and get your money. We can't get the car." Well, that was when there was actually a shortage. Now it's better in retrospect that I didn't get the car, because I was going to buy a brand new Corolla, right? I want a car that's going to last forever. I talked about buying this truck earlier, but when I bought the truck, the idea was, okay, I'm going to have an expensive 10 years, followed by a cheap 10 years, because I won't need a big vehicle again. I get the smallest thing. And then they couldn't get the car, but now we're in a situation where it's better that I didn't, because I love driving, so I always offer to drive. And for anybody that has trouble getting in and out of lower vehicles, like my parents are aging and this and that, like, so the idea of having a car that's better for that kind of thing is a better idea. If I had to buy a car tomorrow, I'd buy a RAV4, but I don't know if I'm going to need to for a long time. I drive a company vehicle, and they're apparently going to give us a new one in the spring. So I have a brand new, like one of those Ford Transit Connect work vans, and they're fine. I don't get all upset about cars. There's nothing I like right now. When I was really young, I used to think I wanted a Porsche one day, right? So I don't know. I don't know if I'd even buy one if I had the money today, but we'll see. And then I really loved Grand Cherokees. There was many years there where Grand Cherokees were a thing for me. I was just obsessed. I worked at a car rental company for 1 year and drove all the different cars. My favorite drive ever was I had to go for a couple of hours in a Grand Cherokee, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever driven in. And I loved it, but I never did buy one. And I did the same thing with the Ford F-150. I said, and I really want one. I had the truck on my desktop for like 2 years. Then finally, when it came time that I needed a car, I drove my last car like literally right into the ground. I put about 350,000 kilometers on a Mazda 5, Mazda Protege it was called. And then it was like, no, I destroyed it. So now I need something new, and that's when the truck came along. Yeah, going to a place they should have gone yesterday. Yeah, I'm always terrified that everybody else. I have my son drive a little bit. He hasn't got his license yet, but he's working on it. So I let him drive, and then what we do is we put the GPS on, but just turn it on like no highways, no tolls, no nothing, so that it takes like 4 hours to get to Niagara, taking all the side streets and everything, right? So I'll have him drive, but I explain all the time. I'm like, listen, first of all, you got to be careful, and you're driving a death machine, so you got to think about that. I go, but you got to understand that everybody else is 50% of what causes accidents and things like that, right? It's like it's got to be somebody's fault. So you got to be very aware of what everybody else is doing. And this thing, with the phones, that wasn't a thing for us when we started driving, but now it's something everybody's got to think about. You got to watch that the car beside you is not going to slide into your lane, and the car in front of you is doing what they're supposed to do, and behind you too, everything. And then thank you, Glorious Platter. Thank you, Pete, for hanging out. Thanks for everybody watching. I appreciate the thumbs up, by the way. Those really do help. Yeah, we've been lucky with weather today, which is great. Still got a while to go, but if it's not buffering too terribly, I'll just keep it going. But I'll rethink the idea of doing these. I knew there was a couple of nice days. I'm only doing this stuff usually every 2 weeks now. But I thought for the activity on the channel, I'll do a couple streams and see. Yeah, it's really nice out here now. You wouldn't even know it had rained. Some pineapples. Good to see you in the house. Thanks for coming in. Last couple of days, YouTube was having trouble, and all the streams apparently were buffering. I was having trouble with Tuber Chat and these things and everything, but this one might be buffering a little bit, says Pete. I figured by putting a handful of these streams out all at the same time, doing a few of them, that there'd be a bit of activity, but just not doing what I think. You see the numbers up and down. I think we hit 11 watching for a second there, right back down. But I do appreciate everybody watching. And then the other thing, I'm using these stands, and they're nothing special, right? But what they do is it's got that ring for the magnet that everybody seems to be using these days, and I love them now. All my stands are like that. But this thing, I've got it at the top of the window, stuck to the window, because I'm in vertical mode, right? So I'm driving my truck right now, but the work van has a much larger window, so it's like way, way, way out of the way. So it's kind of cool. But these things are fantastic because you can aim at any direction. The only thing is, I can see that it's not. It's shakier than I would think. Um, I'm using the iPhone 11 today. I was trying to use that Solana phone for streaming, and it just didn't seem to want to work as well as I wish. You know me, I'll try again and try again and try again. Slight buffering at the beginning, but it's been good for a while. Thank you. Yeah, I was just outside of Toronto, though. I was on the East End. Um, so, you know me, I'm going to grasp at straws, everything, try to figure out all the different ideas that could be responsible for something working or not working. Oh yeah, there's always construction. We drove through some construction earlier. Nobody was working, but it's like one of the just pylons getting ready. But it seems that construction is almost all year round here. They do a not bad job, and I'll tell you this: Niagara Falls really does a great job of having their roads paved. It seems they do them every few years. Like it is a really smooth ride everywhere around there. I guess because it's so heavy on tourism, like they have to make a good impression. But there are some places that are atrocious, but generally the highways are not too terrible. Across the 401, which is our main artery highway that goes right through Toronto, you'll get potholes, and they always do these reports at the beginning of the spring where they say like, oh, the pothole crews are out. There's 15,000 potholes or something like that. Feeling like my phone might overheat now. That's one of the things about keeping it in the window that I never remember. You can tell the screen goes dim. Dirt roads. No, we have plumbing. We have electricity in Canada. I'll tell you, the streams though, they make the drive go so fast. No matter how much activity there is. I'm making a little bit better time than I was planning for too, which is great. I don't know if it rained out here last night. It rained over on the east end, um, so maybe it's moving that way. No, snow's been minimal. We did have our first snowfall for a few days, but it got right back up to 10 degrees right now. That's 52. All the temperature has to be is like I think 2 or 3 degrees Celsius. So I don't know what that is. 38, 40. Well, yeah, anywhere around 40, and the snow melts. It seems anyway. I was really upset with the last snowfall because they didn't salt. So that's one thing that, like, just, we feel like it ruins our cars up here, is that they throw that salt all over the road, and most often it's this brown salt that, like, that's why sometimes you see snow and then the sides of the road just look like mud and dirt. It's just because that salt is brown more than anything else, but it gets on everything. And but we want them to put it out before the snowfall, and they seem to not have done that the last time. I think there's rules about it though, and the rules are how many centimeters of snow they're expecting, and if it's below a certain amount, they don't salt or they don't plow. But if it's a certain amount, then they do. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that that's the case. But it's coming. So often what happens around here, though, is it doesn't even snow very much until Christmas. Every year, Christmas is like a bet on whether it's actually going to snow or not. And then people always are happy when it snows either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, because you just don't know. It might not. And there's January and February that are terrible. I always forget, right? Like December 21st or whatever it is the first official day of winter. We're still in autumn. It just doesn't feel that way to me. You know, I always used to think like November, December, January, February feels like winter, but not quite. Haha, Poly Market, you know it. Yeah. I don't know if Pete's looking at that stuff yet. Poly Market and the prediction markets. I think that is going to be the next wave of like monster everything. I don't know how they're getting away with like letting people bet on everything, but they are. But it gives a real look at what is probably going to happen in the world, because people are literally putting their money where their mouth is for everything. Apparently, in the last U.S. election, Poly Market predicted all 50 states accurately. And that's because it's people. You can. There's one called Rain. I'm sure it's REIGN, but I could be wrong. Rain is one. Apparently, you can make a prediction market for anything. Whereas Poly Market, they do major things, but all the sporting events and everything else, and it's really, really, really interesting to me how that stuff works, because the prices change as the odds change. Like, you can still be betting on sports while the game is happening, but it is betting, so I am looking at that stuff extremely cautiously. I rarely bet. I say I bet all the time. Like, I say to people, like, "Oh, you want to bet?" And I'll say things like, "Oh, I bet you this, I bet you that," but I don't actually. And then when I do bet, of course, like if I lose, I pay bets, but I find that not everybody does, so I try to stay out of it. And then what happens is I stop myself, because when I'm like so sure, I'm like, no, I'll bet you. Like, we'll put $100 on it right now, like what? And then I'm like, but wait a second, you really are going to put $100 against something? Like, what am I missing that I could be wrong about? Miami, 1%, yeah. But it's there. You can bet on it if you want. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I haven't made or spent as much time on Poly Market as I'm making it sound like I have. I just know what it is. I've looked at it a couple times, but they mention it on the news. This is why I wonder, like, how are they getting away with not getting shut down when it's betting? But maybe there's some loophole in it that, unless it's going to start getting banned in certain states and provinces and things like that, they might do that kind of thing. Then somebody will just find a way to get around it with another one. But prediction markets are expected to be the next narrative that's going to be humongous for either 2026 or the bulk of it. Oh, not even scratch tickets out there? Ontario's always had lottery and scratch tickets for as long as I can ever remember. I think my whole life they've been here. There's casinos everywhere. I remember when they first started popping up, because it's in my lifetime where they were like, oh, we're going to get casinos. Then now there's so many that it doesn't even feel like a thing anymore. There's two in Niagara Falls. And Niagara Falls is not a huge city. I forget the population down there, but it's not. I should figure it out. Yeah, I don't know if I'm just imagining. As soon as I heard about Poly Market, like I probably heard the name twice, and then I was like, let me see what this is, and I was fascinated, like very upset, like I usually get, like why didn't I come up with that, but I wouldn't have. That's not something I would have imagined, but it's so obvious. It's like I don't even know how the kids who did it managed to get it up, but they did so easy. Um, We have, I don't know the truth about those things, Lou, about who benefits from the lotteries and the casinos and stuff. Some of them, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know the truth. We have one called Casino Rama, and it's a cool name for a casino, but the city where the casino is called Rama. My understanding is it's an Indian reservation, but I don't even know if that's accurate. And there's all these Inachuk things and everything around. But yeah, whatever I learned in school, I have likely not retained very well. Unfortunately, I wish I paid more attention in history. But it could be different in different places. Like there's one casino in Etobicoke, and it was a racetrack my whole life, and it just I don't know when it became a casino, if it was 10 years ago or 20 or whatever it was. And they're expanding now. They just put a theater on it and stuff like that, and they're expanding. And that's right where I grew up. It's right where I used to like go and hang out on Saturdays at this mall. So I can't imagine that that's any kind of protected land or anything like that. But again, who knows? Yeah, I love casinos. I've been to many of them. I was so happy to play a poker tournament, just a one table tournament, but I played at Foxwoods in Connecticut because I just wanted to play, be able, I was already there. So I said, like, oh, I want to be able to say I played poker where the World Poker Tour goes, right? Apparently, Foxwoods is the world's biggest casino. It's like 5 casinos in one or something. So it is enormous and all this. Mohegan Sun is one that I've been at, but I can't remember for the life of me what state that's in. Somewhere up here in the Northeast, and I think I've been there twice. Seneca Niagara, they have one in Niagara Falls on the U.S. side, and for the life of me, I can't remember if I've been to others, but many around here, both the Niagara ones, the Woodbine one, and that Casino Rama I was talking about. I used to go to them to eat. Actually, that Casino Rama, I used to love the buffet there. And me and my friends, after working at one of the bars I worked at that's north of Toronto by about 45 minutes, we would take off and go to the casino after. I don't care to play so much. I play once in a while, but I never make money because I play roulette, just red and black, and that's it. And usually on the machine, $20 can last me hours. But I used to go and barely ever play even. I just love seeing them. Weird. Sound and lights, marketing, the money. Like they said in the movie Casino, that's one of my favorite movies ever. In the movie Casino, he's like, look at this place, the money. I used to love watching the mob movies. I've seen a few of them, like Goodfellas. 20 times has to be. Casino, more than 20 times. Be surprised. Donnie Brasco a few times. I love them. I don't know if they're going to keep making these things. I don't know if there's been such thing after. Remember, The Irishman was one that they did.